911, do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911. On 911, a California highway becomes the scene of a disastrous head-on collision.
I couldn't just keep going and call for help later on. Somebody needed help right then and there. Help me!
When a woman battles smoke and flames in a desperate attempt to save the life of a stranger.
Get out of there, don't blow! What are you gonna do? You just gonna leave this man run away? Your only other choice is to watch this man burn alive. I'm not willing to do that.
On the next Rescue 911.
Around noon on June 10th, 1988, on a two-lane highway in Northern California, heavy traffic was moving at speeds up to 55 miles an hour. Lana Fox and her 20-year-old daughter, Gina Jackson, were on their way to visit an elderly relative when they noticed a pickup truck behind them.
He kept coming up to our bumper and backing off, coming up to our bumper, backing off. What is he doing?
And he seemed to be in such a hurry, a big hurry. He just kept trying to come around and look and see if he could make it around me. But there was no way. Oh my God.
The driver of the pickup apparently had lost control of his vehicle and crossed over into the oncoming traffic, causing the accident.
I couldn't just keep going and call for help later on. Somebody needed help right then and there. That's when it was happening. You had to do something now.
I checked this man over. He was complaining of neck pain. So I stayed with him as my mom ran on to help in the third car.
Somebody's in there. Come on.
Hey, lady!
Somebody's still in here.
Get out of there, it's gonna blow!
He was unconscious. And I noticed, too, he was huge. I turned around to the people that were all milling about. They kept yelling at me, no, it's too late, it's too late, it's going to blow, get out of there.
The victim weighed more than twice as much as Lana herself.
Of course, that thought's in my mind, it might blow up. But what are you going to do? You're just going to leave this man run away? Your only other choice is to watch this man burn alive. I'm not willing to do that.
Station 76 response.
The fire department was immediately dispatched.
East of Union.
When reports of an injury accident came in, paramedics were also sent to the scene.
Help me!
Lana managed to drag the victim out of his burning car.
I could feel flames as I was there licking up my leg. It actually burned my shoe and my toe.
Come on, help me!
So I started running up to help my mom as another man who was closer reached her first. It was a real intense situation. I felt a lot of fear.
You can hear the flames popping underneath the car. So we knew that something was going to happen. We just didn't know how much time we had.
Come on, lady! Come on! Let's get him out of here!
It was amazing because it was only about 30 seconds from the time we moved him to the time when the car became engulfed in flames.
Michael Bradley had been driving behind the pickup truck just before the accident.
Hey! Somebody call the ambulance!
We didn't have anything to cover his wounds with. There was blood just everywhere, just squirting out of this man. He had a horrible wound on his head. And so I covered the wound on his head with my hand and another wound on the side of his neck with my hand. We realized that he couldn't lapse back into unconsciousness. That wouldn't be a good idea, so we just tried to keep him talking and keep him awake.
Highway Patrolman Gary Sutherland was the first officer on the scene.
When I did arrive, the vehicle was already in flames, and had the driver not been removed prior to my arrival, he would most certainly have been killed.
The fire extinguisher in his vehicle could not put out the burning car, but it knocked down the flames from the brush fire creeping toward the victim.
I didn't think he was going to make it. He was in very bad shape.
His pulse was really slow. We just kind of stood by and said, hey, hang in there, guy. You're going to make it. You made it this far. Look what you've been through.
Paramedic Emad Gurgis and his partner treated the victim at the scene.
As we approached the victim, upon our initial assessment and general appearance, he looked like he was going into shock. And if we don't get this patient into a trauma center quickly, then his chances of surviving the injury would be greatly decreased.
I requested the helicopter, so obviously it'd be best if he'd be medevaced to John Muir Hospital.
The CHP helicopter arrived at the scene within minutes. With traffic backed up in both directions, it was the only quick way to get the victim the medical attention he desperately needed.
The thought about my perishing in that fire and my daughter watching it happen really did not hit me until it was all over. I was covered in blood. I looked over at her and she was covered in blood. That's when I got a little bit nervous. That's when I thought, oh my God, my daughter, my best friend, could have watched me burn up, could have watched her mother burn alive too, along with this man that we saved.
I don't think she was aware of the heroic deed that she did. I think that she instinctively saw an auto accident, and she was very brave. There was fire there. We all have a fear of fire and what it can do to us. And for her to make that effort with her daughter's assistance to remove that man from a burning vehicle and burning grass without any concern for her own safety is, to me, truly brave.
The 46-year-old man was rushed to the nearest trauma unit with a fractured shoulder, hip, pelvis, and skull, and critical internal injuries for which he underwent immediate surgery. Recently, Lana Fox was awarded a Medal of Valor by the county in recognition of her selfless courage.
I've always looked up to my mom. She's my best friend. I don't know if you'd say she's a hero. I just think she's a helper, a giver. She's always been a giver, not a taker.
I've heard from Jay since the accident several times, which is really nice. They thanked me for helping him out and let me know that life was good for him again. He's with his family and he's happy, very happy to be alive. I don't think I'm a hero. I think I'm a doer. I've always been a doer. That's what I think. I don't know. What's a hero?
Next, step inside the command center where the calls for help are answered and meet the real-life heroes who save lives. Stay tuned for another episode of Rescue 911, next on Discovery Health Channel. Real life, medicine, miracles.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car,